What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today I have a guest with me, Tristan Lackey, who performed fairly well at Madison Regionals last weekend. I'm going to let him introduce himself to you, and then we'll get on with the video, and we'll be talking about his Arcanine Reshiram list that he played. So, Tristan, why don't you tell the viewers how long you've been playing, how you did at Madison, anything special about your Pokemon career, and then we'll get into talking about the deck.
Hey, I'm Tristan Lackey. I am from the North Carolina area. I've been playing for about 10 years now. I started when I was a senior, so I'm 22 now. I finished 44th at Madison, but I had a really hot start. I started out 6-0. Yeah.
Cool. So what are you calling this deck right now? I've been just calling it Firebox or Arcanine Box.
The deck has been called Hotbox.
Hotbox? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And what led you to selecting this deck and building this list for the tournament?
Gonna be entirely honest, I was completely lost on what to play coming into this tournament. So I just messaged Isaiah Bradner, the senior, and I was like, yo, let me just same 6 to you. And he sent me this list, and we made like 2 tweaks. It was originally a 1-1 Arcanine, and we cut, I think it was like a Fiery Flint and a Pokegear or something, and we made it a 2-2 Arcanine, and that was pretty much it. I played 1 game with the deck before the tournament.
Nice. So what made you feel like this deck was better than one of your other like last minute choices that you could have had?
So my number 1 going into the tournament was probably Weezing. It was the deck I'd played the most and I had the most confidence in, like just general. And looking at this list, the Reshiram list that I was given, it didn't have any glaring weak points. Like, it had answers to everything that I could really want. That was pretty much the main appeal, and just such a big, bulky one-prizers that had such awkward numbers to hit.
Yep.
I expected to see a lot of, like, Zapdos and stuff, which I didn't hit in tournament, but I was expecting a lot of things that would struggle with all these constant, bulky one-prizers that I could just easily stream.
Yeah.
So.
Alright, cool. So, let's go over the list. So, like we said, you've got the 2-2 Arcanine, and then the Reshiram from Shining Legends, and we have Shining Lugia, the promo, and then Volcanion from the new set Unbroken Bonds. Why are these one-prizers the best choices, and if any of them are not the most optimal choice going forward, why? So let's start with the 2-2 Arcanine. Is that enough?
2-2 I feel like was just about perfect. Like, a lot of games you would, even if you prize one, most of the time you don't need more than one Arcanine. You just need it to, like, because sometimes you can't Welder or Kiawe every single turn, and so sometimes you just need to Grand Flame and like take a turn to just calm down and get ready to set up a Guzma or something. I feel like the 2-2 is optimal. I feel like 3-3 is a little too heavy, and 1-1 then you're just like risking the 10% to prize it at any given point. So yeah, that's the 2-2's, like, it's also your answer to Vileplume. So like they can still Lost Purge your first Arcanine, and then you still have the second one to deal with all the Vileplume issues.
Yeah, I've been playing a similar list on PTCGO, and benching 2 Growlithe, they scoop.
Scoop on sight, so good.
Yeah, so next is Reshiram from Shining Legends. It swings for 130 and then can't swing next turn. What did you think about this inclusion?
I was really skeptical at first, but that's also because I thought the attack was the old Reshiram, like the.
You got a discard?
The discard 2 fires. I thought it was that one because like I played old Reshi board,
right?
And so like I was like, this is really bad. I can't afford a Welder every turn if I want to attack with this. And then I saw it and I realized I was an idiot. It's really good in the Weezing matchup, because you do the 130, they hit you. You can switch 130 again, they hit you, it's still not dead, so then you can just outrage without having to move it. It's also good against Zoroark because a lot of lists aren't running Devoured Field anymore, so Zoroark himself can't one-shot you, so you could 130, if they hit you back, then you can just outrage for knockout.
Nice, okay.
And
overall, Dugong doesn't knock it out with the 60 spread either.
Dugong, that's another one. Overall, he was just like, he was also really like the best option for just killing Dedennes.
Oh yeah, with a band, right?
Yeah, he had the cheapest 130 attack in the deck.
Nice.
So
nice, yeah, because Arcanine falls just short at 150 with a band.
Arcanine being 10 short, that was so bad.
So next is Shining Lugia. It has Argent Wing, swings 120 if they have an ability. So same energy cost, but one 10 less damage than Reshiram, but then it also has the 130, which does the same. And of course, it has a different weakness and different resistance. So what was the application of Shining Lugia for you?
So it's really good in the Zapdos matchup because, well, obviously Thunderous Assault can't hit you.
For weakness, yeah.
Yeah. So it's really good. Like, you can go aggressive and go for a Welder attach turn 1, so you can Argent Wing their Jirachis. Because if they're going first, they're going to leave Jirachi in the active 98% of the time.
Yeah.
And it's also, it resists Buzzwole Sledgehammer, so you're not weak to the Sledgehammer turn, really, as often if you have that up.
Also very good.
It's also good against Weezing, of course, because Weezing does have the ability, so it just gets one shot by the first attack.
Yep.
Overall, it was just a solid attacker.
Okay, cool.
Just another solid one prize attacker.
Was it ever, like, would you ever wish that it was another Reshiram or another Growlithe or anything like that?
No, it carried me in a couple of matchups. Not having to move it every turn to attack like you would with the Reshiram.
Yeah, that can be big. Yeah.
Yeah.
And last for the one prize attackers, we have Volcanion from the new set. Go ahead and tell us what you like about this card in the deck.
Nothing. It's terrible.
Oh, you don't like it?
No, it was really bad all weekend.
Okay.
I think I Flare Started twice, and both times I ended up dead drawing and doing Flare Starter for 2 more turns.
Okay.
It only shined the one time I played against Zapdos, because, well, it was 120 HP, it hits for 110.
Yeah, like, perfect math.
That was the only matchup it ever was useful.
Okay. I myself, really I've been finding it pretty useful in a similar list, just going second for the Flare Starter. Those turns are pretty huge, but I guess you can get... I guess you can get the Welder or Kiawe, and with less of a nest ball switch, kind of burning resources.
The way it just ended up working out is every time I would end the turn, every time I went for it, I would just have a dead hand following. Like, okay. I always wished I had just had Jirachis instead.
Right.
I mean, granted, I never opened with it. That's something else. Like, if you open with it, it's insane, but I never opened with it.
Right.
The one time I opened with it, I was going first.
And over 14 rounds of best 2 out of 3, you would hope that it would serve you a better purpose.
Not a single time it opened. It was just unfortunate. It's not bad, but
bad for you in this one tournament.
Yeah.
Okay, so next for our last 2 attackers of this list, one Reshizard and one Eevee Snorlax. Either of these, would you prefer having a second one?
Generally speaking, no, but like if you could like sideboard, of course, you would want like if you could sideboard, I would love to have 2 Eevee Snorlax against every Zoro Persian matchup.
Yeah.
Like, that's just obvious. But generally speaking, no, I only wanted one of each. I never really wanted a second one. Because the way you should be playing the deck is you throw 1 prizers at them, and then you go into your big tag team of choice.
When they're at 2 or 1 prize cards remaining.
When it's hard for them to, like, they can't really get around it or whatever. And you just, like, here, have this 270 HP meatball that's one-shotting you every turn.
Okay, cool. Yeah, for sure. That's what I've been doing against Weezing. Like, feed them 1 prizers and then just sit a big guy that they can't finish. Which GX attacker do you think is more versatile against the field?
Versatile?
Yeah. So which one do you use against a variety of matchups? More so, or are they pretty equal?
So, it really depended on the situation. Because you're only playing one, sometimes you just prize the one that you need in the matchup, and you just have to make the other one work.
Okay.
Like, I ended up using the Eevee Snorlax and the Pikarom a couple of times because you could choice ban Megaton Friends GX to knock out a Pikarom.
That's really nice.
But majority of the time, the GX of choice was the Reshizard. But that's just because the matchups I hit were not evolution decks.
Yeah, there are definitely more basic decks in the format, so odds are you would hit those. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna just look over the trainers real quick. So you're playing 3 Fire Crystal and no Fiery Flint. Did you miss
Yeah.
the Flints?
The original list had the Flint.
Just one?
Yeah, just a singleton. I kind of did, kind of didn't. I think I got a little lucky in a lot of my hands where I was running 2 Dedenne, so a lot of the times I could just dig for the Flint, or
Mm-hmm.
not the Flint, for the
The
Fire
energy.
Crystal for the energy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like there's a little bit of luck involved in not wanting a Fiery Flint,
Okay,
but I definitely wanted all 3 Fire Crystals. I
got it.
don't think if you wanted a Flint, I would not cut a crystal for it.
Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, I'm running 2 Crystal myself right now, and it's definitely a little bit shaky at times.
It gets scary. It gets real scary if you ever have to discard a crystal early. That was my issue
Mm-hmm.
with only 2. Like you discard 1 and you're only working with 1 for the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's too scary.
The Arcanine can help because it's recycling energy, but it's not like to your hand and where you want it.
Yeah, you can't P factory those, man.
Yeah. So did the deck ever feel like it didn't have enough gas to work with without acrobikes?
No, that's why we went with the 2 Dedenne, no Lele. Was so we had that extra little bit of gas.
Okay.
A lot of the times my bench would end up being 2 Dedenne and 1 to 2 Jirachi.
Okay.
And then 1 extra attacker.
Awesome. So, 2 more questions on the list, and then we'll get into matchups. One, did you miss having a healing option like Miltank, Acerola, or Max Potion?
I really felt it when I played against DDG because they had it and I did not. And oh man, I played against Gedimer in round 5, and the Miltank was not enough. I ended up winning that.
Yeah.
But Azul, he drew much better, and that Miltank, he just never let damage stick on the Reshizard, so my 1 prizes were essentially just useless.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So moving forward, would you move away from the 1 prize strategy because of the Miltank, or would you implement a healing strategy of your own, or would you just expect the meta to move away from using the healing?
I think it's more likely it'll move away from it, to be perfectly honest. I don't think most of the time the Miltank is really that good.
Mm-hmm.
It was just especially effective against me because I'm only running the 1 Reshizard, so I can't match other Reshizard lists in there. Go Kiawe attach, just throw big fat bodies at you over and over. Right. I can't match that with this list. I feel like you just need to make the read that the Miltanks are going to go away.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I feel like you have to be running hot for the Miltank to work most of the time.
Yeah, because like you need double switch Welder if you want to heal 180.
Yeah.
That's a lot to ask for.
Yeah. For sure. And my last question for the list is, did you or do you want more Jirachis for consistency purpose?
It's something that didn't occur to me until like yesterday that maybe I should want more Jirachis. I could totally see going 3. I think 4 is a little excessive, but 3, I could totally see 3.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, so that's all my questions for the list. So now I'll ask you, are there any cuts or additions that you're considering making that I did not bring up?
So the number 1 card on the chopping block for me are the Volcanion and the Field Blower. Okay. Both of those cards were very useless, but that's also because of the matchups. I didn't hit the matchups that Field Blower specifically is the most useful in. Most
Being
of the time
Wheezing.
I just mainly Wheezing. Or any Shrine decks really. I hit 1 deck that ran Shrine all weekend. I mostly just wanted to be able to bump Prism Star stadiums like Thunder Mountain, my opponent's Heat Factories, and this list doesn't have that option.
Okay.
So Field Blower and the Volcanion are the 2 cards on the chopping block. The cards I'm looking at are Professor Kukui. It was something I really wanted. Because with Kukui, you can... So Arcanine with a Choice Band, Heat Tackle for 220. With a Kukui, that's 240, and you can now one-shot Pikaroms.
Okay.
That also lets you Grand Flame with a Choice Band Kukui to kill a Lele, because sometimes Zoroark players against your Eevee Snorlax, they'll switch into Lele and hit you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And there was one other. Your 130 attackers, Choice Band Kukui, it kills Blacephalon.
Okay, yeah. That's true for sure.
So Kukui was definitely something I missed all weekend. I really wish I had had it.
Had you thought about a baby Turtonator at all for extra damage output?
I was originally going to run the Turtonator instead of the Shining Lugia,
Okay.
but I couldn't find one. I was rushing around the venue right before we had to lock in lists trying to find one, and none of the vendors had one.
Okay.
So I was originally going to run one. I would run one now in my list going forward. I feel like if you run the Turtonator, you do stand a good chance at actually being able to beat the DDG Zard list, because after
Yeah.
you Grand Flame, there's 2 energy on the board. You
Mm-hmm.
can Welder attach Choice Band, and you one-shot a Reshizard.
Yeah, I've been doing really, really well against the DDG list with the baby Turt in my list.
Yeah.
But the baby Turt's been really useless against some other things. Like it's
yeah.
pretty bad if you run into any sort of one prize matchup and you get stuck having to attack with that just based on your hand.
Oh yeah.
Which has happened to me, but it's super useful versus GX decks.
Yeah, it feels kind of like a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so good in some matchups, and other matchups it's like you're just stabbing yourself having to use it.
Yeah. So I have the results from Madison up, and I'm gonna look at the top decks and just ask you what you think your matchup with the deck is at the moment. And you can do that reflecting any changes that you're making. It doesn't have to be based on your exact list that you had. So Ian Rob's Blacephalon, it's pretty basic. It does have the Alolan Muck that could potentially ruin your Jirachi plans in the mid to late game. But what did you think overall your matchup against Blacephalon was and could be going forward?
Hard smash.
Okay.
You destroy it.
Yeah. Arcanine's rough.
Arcanine obliterates it, especially if we add Kikui, because then your things like your Shining Lugia, your Reshiram, your Lugia, if you add Turtonator, all these things can now easily one-shot the Blacephalon. I played against Blacephalon round 5 on stream, actually.
Okay.
We ended up playing in day 2 as well, but I hard smashed him. Even though I took some risky lines because I wasn't sure how to approach the matchup at the time.
Okay.
But now that I've reflected, it's definitely just shove one prizes down their throat. It's just too many things to deal with. As long as you leave yourself the option to go GX knock out a Blacephalon to get past their Beast Ring turns, it's so hard for them to answer that.
Cool. I tend to agree wholeheartedly. Next would be Cody Walensky's Green's Reshizard. 3 Volcanion, 2 Reshi, 1 Eevee, and then 1 Ditto from Detective Pikachu. They run 1 Acerola and 1 Max Potion. But keep in mind it's the Greens list without any ability-based draw. What do you think about your deck versus their deck?
I actually played against Cody in round 9.
Okay, cool.
It was game 3. I got a little bit unlucky. I detonated 2 welders away, and I prized my other 2 welders, so I just didn't have any welder in that matchup.
Okay.
But I feel like I was going to win the series. I would say it's a little easier than the DDG list with Miltanks, because, I mean, yes, they do have healing, but their healing means that they aren't doing anything else, really.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to promote Volcanion and Flare Starter, maybe High Heat if they attach to it for 2 turns.
Right.
The healing never came up in that matchup, really.
Okay. But, so, slightly favored?
I would say, yeah, slightly favored.
Cool. Next, we'll look at Pika Box, and we'll just say the Xander, Pero, Rahul, Ready list. Had you played against them in day 1 or day 2?
I played against Justin Bokari, who I think was running the same 60.
Same 60.
Yeah, so I played against him in the last round of day 2.
Okay.
For points, or for money.
Okay.
It again came down to last prize game 3. Okay. I needed good top deck and I didn't get it.
So pretty close.
Yeah. I feel like we should be favored, generally speaking. My mindset after like round 7 with the deck was not what it should have been. I kept trying to do what other Reshizard decks were doing.
Okay.
Which is not what this deck's supposed to do. You're supposed to shove one prizers down their throat. You're not supposed to try and go, I'm a big Reshizard, you can't touch me.
Yeah.
And that was not the right mindset to have with this deck. So I feel like I should be favored as long as I do throw just one prizers at them.
Got it.
But if you try to race them with Zard, then you're going to be in for a bad time probably.
Sounds about right. One of the last big decks here up top was the Zoroark variants. We have Zoroark Persian Slowking, Zoroark Persian, Zoroark Dugong, Zoroark Solvally. Just a mix of those. How do you feel against Zoroark decks in general? They all have a water tech of some sort.
as long as you don't open Reshizard, you're good.
Cool.
It's a little scary if they're able to like Guzma hit your Eevee Snorlax before you can hit with it first. But if they can't do that, then I feel like you're just favored. The Zoroark Valley is probably the most scary of those because it does run the fighting memory, if I remember correctly.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably the most scary. I imagine that one would be actually probably slightly not in your favor. Okay. If they're ever able to just turn to kill your Eevee Snorlax, you just lose.
Cool. So, we were talking about this a little bit before the video. So you finished 44th with the deck. Yep. Day 2, top 64 points and packs. Your deck did seem like it had a pretty good overall matchup spread in the tournament. So what do you think led to, first of all, you making day 2 with it in the first place, and second, not finishing higher than top 64 in the day 2 Swiss?
So
let's start with the good part. Yeah, the day 1. Yeah.
My day 1 was, the deck was running amazingly. I was playing very well. I wasn't making any mistakes for the first like 6 rounds. I started 6-0. I wasn't making any mistakes. The deck was drawing perfectly. There was genuinely just no complaints with the list. It felt perfect.
Cool.
I lost to Azul in round 7. Then I won the next one in round 8, and I lost to Cody, who eventually also top 8'd in round 9. The deck was running like it was supposed to. The deck was running well the whole weekend. It's just after I lost to Azul, because I didn't know how to play the mirror, I was like, okay, so the mirror should be just like you go for attach Kiawe turn 1 into attach Guzma knockout. And I got a little too in my own head about trying to copy what they were doing, which, like I was saying earlier, this deck shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I got in my own head. It was the pilot's fault, not the deck.
Okay.
The deck, I feel like, I realistically thought I was going to top 8 this tournament.
Okay.
But I got a little unlucky in a couple rounds off some nutty not let looses, Jirachis. I went 1-3-1 in day 2, which I started 1-1. Like I had set myself up for success in the first 2 rounds, and just I fell flat on my face. So
let's go over your first round was against.
Round 1 was Lost March.
Of day 2, I'm sorry.
Oh, day 2.
Yeah. I heard Lost March. I was like, that wasn't day 2.
No, first round of day 2 was Zapdos Beast. It was Drew Kate.
Okay. And he 10th place, I think he made, right?
Yeah, he 11th. Got 16. He got top 16.
Yeah.
I should have won, but I punted. I did not respect the Coco GX option, so I didn't attach an energy the turn before he did it to the Arcanine to be able to heat tackle it. Okay. If I had done that, I just won. But because I didn't, I couldn't knock it out.
So did you tie?
Yeah, we ended up tying because I took game 2 like I should. But just having bulkier 1-prizers that he has to just overextend for.
Right. Yeah, his list is pretty cut and dry. He does have the 1/1 Jolteon GX in it.
Yeah. I came out game 2. That was a little scary, but
okay. So next round of day 2, you played against.
I played against Hector Ibarra, I think. That was Pikarom.
Okay, he also finished top 16.
Yeah.
And he is playing. Let's see. Was this more of a turbo variant?
It was very turbo.
Yeah, 2 multi-switch. Okay.
Yeah, I think he said his counts were like 4 radar, 3 ultra, 2 nest, or something
Let's
like that.
See. We've got 3 radar, 2 nest, 4 ultra, and then 4 energy switch and 2 multi-switch.
Yeah, it was very turbo.
Yeah, very much so. So what was your matchup like that?
This one he got some penalties because he did Volkner and then he tried to Lily in the same turn, and I wasn't fast enough to catch it.
Okay.
And then later in the game, he forgot I just killed his Zeraora, so he had set up a multi-switch play to GX for the bench hit for knockout, but he forgot that he couldn't, the energy didn't stay in play because the Zeraora was dead.
So he didn't have free retreat. Is that it?
Okay. Yeah, he couldn't free retreat his Dedenne that he had to promote.
Got it.
So that let me win game 1. Was just some unfortunate stuff. In game 2, I don't really remember what happened game 2. I'm gonna be completely honest. I won. I know I won the series 2-0.
No,
I
that's
just don't
fine.
remember game 2 at all.
A lot of games and a lot of rounds, a lot of different decks, right?
I'm pretty sure he didn't Guzma hit my Reshizard with Zapdos, and from there he just couldn't answer. My Reshizard took like 5 prizes or something.
Okay,
I just
got
needed to
it.
clean up 1. So.
Overall, looking back, do you like playing against the Pika box or the Turbo Pika better?
The Turbo Pika felt like it put on much more pressure, much more fast, which is a little hard to deal with because my list wasn't running Mew, so they could still get Tag Bolt. So any Dedennes I played were just free prizes for them to clean up if they could get the Tag Bolt off.
Right.
I feel like I preferred playing against the box version more.
Cool. Yeah, I think I agree. Their one prizers don't deal with your one prizers efficiently, and they don't have the matched pressure of the turbo. So you went 101 there and then lost the next 3, unfortunately. What were the decks you lost to the next 3 rounds?
Round 3 of day 2 was against Adler Pierce. He was Reshizard.
Okay.
His list was actually sort of like mine. He had the Arcanine. He had a Shining Lugia. He had the Reshiram Shiny Legends. I just don't think he had it quite as thick counts as I did.
Right. Yeah, he has 2 Reshi and then 1/1 Arcanine, and he also has the Mew from Unbroken Bonds in here as well.
Yeah.
But other than that, very close actually. No Fiery Flints either.
Yeah. Game 1 he had 2 Jirachis and he needed to hit exactly Guzma Choice Band, and he hit exactly Guzma Choice Band off of the 2 Jirachis. And then game 2 he just drew better than me.
Okay.
Like that feels like the mirror sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, even though I'm playing 1 prizers, if you just don't draw as well as your opponent, it doesn't matter.
Right. And then round 4 of day 2.
Oh god, what was that? Was that another Reshizard? I can't remember.
If you're not sure, we can go to round 5.
It was a rematch of my stream match. It was against Adam Keebler.
Okay.
I played him in day 1 on stream, and then we played again day 2.
Got it.
Game 1 I hard smashed him. Game 2 it looked like it was gonna be the same. It was like 6-3, but then he just went let loose muck, and my hand was just Dedenne, and I just dead handed.
Okay.
And it was more the same of that for game 3. I opened ahead, but then the turn I was going to Dedenne, he mucked me, and I was like, well, okay, and I didn't draw out of it. So.
Word.
The muck
and then and then last round.
Last round was against Justin Bokari with the Pika box.
Right, and we already talked about that one.
That was last prize scenario. I top deck and I didn't.
So moving forward for the Reshizard variant to mirror, there's a lot of different Reshizard lists going around, and I'm sure that's not going to change for NAIC. There will be just as many variations or even more. Oh, yeah. Do you add a second Reshizard into your deck to try to combat their pressure, or do you focus on your strategy of pushing 1 prizers?
I think you should just focus on strategy of pushing 1 prizers, honestly. Every time I tried to emulate the whole I got 2 Reshizards, I'm going to Kiawe to the first one, and I'm going to Welder to the second one. These are going to take all 6 of my prizes. It just didn't work.
Okay.
I know a couple of my friends who looked at my list, they immediately wanted to add the second Reshizard, and that's just not what the deck needs.
Okay.
The deck you should just heavily focus on just shoving 1 prizers at them, because every deck will struggle to answer 4 130 HP guys that are 2-piecing you over and over and over.
Cool. So you're going to NAIC and not Origins, correct?
As it stands, yeah.
Okay. So what do you think about this deck for NAIC?
It's probably my number 1 pick right now, with the fixes that I've mentioned. It's just, after playing 14 rounds with it, I've reflected, I know what I did wrong. Like, I feel like if I could go back and play the tournament again, I feel like I would have that strong finish, get top 16, top 8, maybe even go on to win. Like, maybe that's cocky to say, but I really do feel like that list was a very good call for the tournament. Yeah, no,
I definitely don't think it's cocky to say. I tend to agree, and I think it's less cocky and more like humble, because you can admit that there was pilot error and that you think the deck was really good. So I think that's all I have. Do you have anything else to add in about the deck that we didn't cover?
There's a lot of ways you could actually take this. You could try to go the Miltank route. You could try to match them. Just be like, hey, here's a Reshizard, I'm going to heal it. I don't think that's the route I'll end up going. There's a lot of ways to play with the deck. Pokegears could be cut. You could go for Acrobikes if you feel like it. I would personally recommend Kukui's. I feel like Kukui is just a very strong card to go for the deck. But yeah, I think the deck is very strong. I think it's tier 1. I think it should be considered its own beast versus the versus other Reshizard decks because it's trying to do something different.
Yeah, I'm currently working on my matchup spreadsheet for NAIC meta, and I have DDG Zard, Green's Reshi, and then Arcanine Firebox. Like I have 3 different fire decks right now.
So many different ways you can run fire.
Yeah, and they have different matchups, so you kind of have to look at them differently. Touching on the Pokegear, I kind of glanced over that. I'm probably going to try switching out some Acrobikes for Pokegear in my own list because a lot of turns, if I just hit a supporter, I'm like continuing and I'm going.
Yeah.
And then the Acrobike, I'm playing the luck game too much, and there isn't a lot of things that aren't supporters that I can even hit. So it seems like Pokegear is the better choice because I usually want a Welder anyway.
Yeah. That was mostly the goal of the Pokegear, was just a little more reach. It saw a few more cards than Stellar Wish. It sees way more cards than Acrobike.
Yeah, for sure.
But it also was extremely hit or miss. Like, you're not running a lot of supporters. After you use your first one, you've got 9 supporters you can hit.
Yeah, and some of them are Kiawe.
The odds of hitting the good supporters that you want are actually not that high. So
yeah.
I could totally justify cutting the Pokegears. They're totally not necessary.
Yeah, but definitely a nice little addition because you can't run 6 Welders, so 2 extra outs potentially. Okay, well, thank you for being on the channel. Like I said, I love this list, and that's why I reached out to do this video. Go ahead and make any shout outs you have, any of your own content, your teams, friends, testing partners, Twitter, whatever.
Well, first of all, shout outs to you, Luke, for having me on the channel.
Of
Everyone
course.
should make sure you subscribe to Celio's.
That guy.
I do stream. It's twitch.tv/TL Lackey.
Okay, cool.
I'm an affiliate, so I do try to stream somewhat regularly. I stream at night, so if you want some late night content, I do stream somewhat regularly.
Word.
Follow me on Twitter at Lackey_Tristan. And yeah, shout outs to all the homies.
Word.
You know who you are.
Well, thanks again for being on, and be sure to follow Tristan on his Twitter and his Twitch for some more Pokemon content. I'll be looking forward to seeing your name having some more top finishes in the future, and I'll be playing this list some more myself. Be sure to check out flipsidegaming.com, code Celio all caps for 10% off of your next order. They've got katanas in, they got ultimate guards at $7.99 a pack, super good price. And that's all I have for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.